Hello guys, I am here to discuss a very serious topic here. Now, Ian J. Becker has been claiming that he is not a boomer. However, this video will go over in detail how and why Ian J. Becker is in fact a boomer. Now, before we hop into number one, I have something to ask you. Would you trust this man to give you life advice? Think about it. How could someone that smug know how to live their life properly? Tell me how he could, and maybe I could see it. But anyways, I digress. On to number one. He plays the viola. Everybody knows that only old people play string instruments, and everybody knows that only stupid people play the viola. And what do you get when you cross old and stupid? That's right, boomers. Look at this stupid wooden bastard. How can he even get anything done? Alright, number two. He plays Marth in Melee. It's a known fact that Marth players are, in fact, all boomers. Every single one of them. You can pick any Marth player, and there is a 110% chance that they are a boomer. As you can see here, we have the boomerest Marth player known to man, the legendary Starving Square. Number 7. He plays Marth in Melee. It's a known fact that every single Marth player on this planet is a boomer. You can take any number of Marth players, and every single one of them in any number of groups will be a boomer. As you can see here, we have the second boomerest Marth player to have existed in this timeline, Mewtwo King. Now I ask you again, knowing this information, would you trust this man to give you life advice? Knowing that 1, he plays the viola, 2, he plays Marth in Melee, and 3, he plays Melee Marth. That's for you to decide. Now, number 3. He only listens to 70s rock and Jack Stauber. Think about it. Boomers were born in the mid to late 60s. What kind of music would they listen to when they're young and impressionable? That's right, 70s rock. Examples would include Queen, and number 5, he's white. It's a scientific fact that only white people can be boomers. And what color is Ian Becker's skin? That's right, white. And if you trace his heritage back, you can see that he has white parents. Number 6. He applies to every ruling. Now, you may be wondering, Anthony, what the fuck does that even mean? Well, if you would just wait another second, I probably would have told you. Anytime that somebody calls a ruling, such as, the next person to do blank is a boomer, eyewitnesses have stated that 9 times out of 10, Ian Becker applied to these rulings. And for that reason, number 6 is he applies to every ruling. Number 7, Jack Black. Jack Black is number 7 on this list. Number 8, Obama himself told me. Now, before I get into this story, I will ask you one more time. Actually, no. This will be the second to last time that I ask you this question. Would you trust this man to give you life advice? Think about it. He plays the viola. He plays Marth in Melee. He plays Melee Marth. He's white. He only listens to 70s rock. And Jack Black. Now, on to the story. Now, this may seem far-fetched, but Obama himself did tell me that Ian himself is a boomer. Now, I don't expect you to believe me, but here's how the story goes. As Obama was leaving and packing his stuff from the White House, he decided that him and I should hang out one more time before he wasn't president anymore. So he calls me and he tells me, "Hey Anthony, we should go hang out. Where do you want to go?" And I tell him, we haven't been to the mall in a while. And sooner or later, we were at the mall. We're walking around and he's telling me all sorts of stuff. And just a couple things off the top of my head. He had told me, what his last name was, who God is, and some other stuff that's unimportant. But the most important fact that he told me is that Ian Joseph Becker is a boomer. Now, knowing all of this information, could you trust this man to give you life advice? And let me answer that question for you. The answer is an emphatic no. Now, why is that? Well, you see, I have a list of reasons why you shouldn't trust this man to give you life advice. Number one, he plays the viola. Now, it's a known fact that only old people play the viola. And another known fact that only stupid people play the viola. And what do you get when you cross old and stupid? That's right, boomers. Number two, he plays Marth in Melee. It's a well-known idea that Marth players are boomers. Take any Marth player and multiply it by 2. You will then have 2 boomers. Number 3, he plays Marth in Melee. This one's not as known, but Melee Marth players more often than not are boomers. You see, if you were to take 3 Marth players, 3 Melee Marth players, and put them in a room together, you would have a maximum of 3 boomers in that room. Now, number 4, he only listens to 70s rock and Jack Stauber. Now, I mentioned the 70s rock thing earlier, but I didn't get on about Jack Stauber. You see, people who listen to Jack Stauber are known to be complete jackasses, alright? And you see, how can anybody who's not a jackass be a boomer? Only boomers can be jackasses, and that's a proven fact, and I just showed you here. Now you see, now we move on to number 5, that he's white. Now, I know I brought up this point earlier about his white heritage, but you can also tell, if you just need more proof, just look at his brothers. Both of his brothers are white. And since both of his parents are also white, there is a 9 out of 8 plus 1 chance that he is white. And I guarantee it. Number 6, he applies to every ruling about boomers. Now, I briefly touched on this subject earlier, but let me just give you a quick rundown of how this works. So, say something happens and someone shouts a ruling such as, I'm just giving a random example, the next person to be named Ian Joseph Becker is a boomer. There have been people who have told the police that more often than not, Ian J. Becker does apply to these rulings, and the evidence is astounding. Now, I don't have time to go over every single account with you, but here, let me read this account that I found on the official police website. This is from Nick. So I had said, the next person to be holding a viola case is a boomer. And then Ian turns around to look at me, and he said, "What did you say about the viola?" And, I can't deny the facts that, well, he did apply to the ruling, which does make him a boomer. Now, I'm going to put that away. I want you to keep that one in mind. As we move on to number 7, Jack Black. Now, I briefly touched on Jack Black earlier, but I don't think I quite relayed the information well enough. Now, imagine I take Jack Black, right? And I take Jack White and put them in the same room and have them write a song together. That song will be called a Jack Gray. Now you may think, Anthony, this is not relevant information. And you would be correct. So that's why Jack Black is number 7 on this list. And number 8, I know I sort of briefly touched on this earlier, but, you know, Obama did tell me in person that Ian is a boomer. And I don't think you can deny that fact. So I ask you one more time. Could you trust this man to give you life advice? Because that's all that boomers want to do. They want to give you life advice. Could this man give you life advice? And would you let him? And would you trust him to do so and give you good life advice? Based on the evidence here, the only correct answer would have to be no, since Ian Becker is a boomer. Thank you.